Okay, we are live.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Chief. Well, welcome anybody who's watching us live or will watch the recording of this special meeting of the District 4 Board. Unfortunately, I don't have the benefit of seeing any kind of an agenda. So maybe I just missed that, or I don't know. I'm assuming just one item is on the agenda if we have one. Also, our Chris Parks, did you want to go through the introductory comments that we traditionally do when we are meeting remotely like this?
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't have the text in front of me since I'm not, wasn't able to go to the office the past few days, but this is a special meeting, and due to the governor's proclamation, the public is not able to attend, but the public can watch the meeting via Zoom meeting at www.nwfrs.net under district meetings, and it's streamed on YouTube. And on the agenda today, we have talks regarding the levy lit lift for the November 2021 election.
Okay. Yeah. Chris, were we able to make the necessary notifications, public notice to meet those requirements to have this meeting? I just had to ask since you've been out of the office this week.
I did post it in the Bellingham Herald.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, well, I guess I'll just I'll turn it over to the team, just however we want to talk about our strategy and timeline and what we've already had sent to us. I'll just kind of back out here, and I don't know, Jason, or if somebody else, Karen or Heather, wanted to drive any of that.
I think Chris Fawcett, you want to?
I can start. Hi, everybody. Chris Fawcett, again, helping you guys with some of the public education around the proposition. Heather's here with us, and Commissioner Land, Karen Reed is on her honeymoon, so we let her have the night off. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Bad on me since I can't see anybody.
I actually texted her. I said, "You're going to be on, right?" And then later I was like, "No, I'm kidding." So thanks for taking a little bit. I don't think we need a whole heck of a lot of time, but when we met last time, we wanted to make sure that we were meeting on a somewhat regular cadence to make sure you were all aware of the resources that are available for you, the materials, and also just keep ourselves all on task since we have just a short, 2 months or so before the November election. And I sent around, and I'm sorry, Commissioners Andrews and Cooley, but we'll get these to you as well. I sent to Mark and to the chief. Heather and Karen and I and the chief have pulled together over the past week and a half an FAQ that is, I think, in pretty good shape, although please provide your feedback when it comes your way. It's pretty robust in terms of everything from kind of what is a levy lid lift, why are you asking for it, and what happens if it passes and or fails. The tone of all our materials, I will say, is much darker than it's been in the past, a little more pointed to the concern that you all and the chief are feeling in terms of if you don't get additional funding, that really services and response times will not be maintained. It's just not feasible with aging equipment and engines and insufficient staffing. You're just not going to be able to keep providing the same service. Thankfully, the Joe Quinn and then Rich, who's the fire district's District 21's attorney, have reviewed these materials and are comfortable with them. It's not advocating, but they're very factual about the fact that this is the reality of where you are. So please take a look at those. So we've got an FAQ. That was sort of the base from other materials. We have kind of like a five fast facts that if you have just a couple minutes, these are the things that we want you hit upon. And it's essentially, these services cannot be maintained, and that time really matters in an emergency. So response times matter, right, in terms of outcomes. It hits on how your service calls have increased significantly for the whole service area. It's 71% since 2010, excuse me. And there's been more complexity in those calls as well, particularly with COVID and legislative changes related to how police can respond to mental health calls. It means that those calls are going to fire. And then we talk a little bit about obviously what the funding will do, and it adds firefighters, those 4 firefighters to staff your peak hour transport unit, which is much needed, especially when you're receiving multiple calls during those peak times. It trains those shift commanders, the one on each 24-hour shift, which is industry standard. And Jason actually sent around that interesting article that shows that other districts are really finding the value in having this more expertise to serve alongside those 3 people crews for these more complex incidences, right? So it's just being better at what they do, still in the field. And then for new firefighters that fill those positions that are vacated by those newly trained shift commanders who will come from your current ranks, correct, Jason?
Yes.
Yep. And I'm kind of walking through this so that you'll see this, but I want to make sure that if you have questions or you feel like we're missing something, you can raise it now. And anybody that's watching can get a little education around the proposition. The proposition will also fund those, it will replace those obsolete vehicles and equipment. You'll see in the FAQ that so many of the apparatus and vehicles are past their useful life. And, because there's not funds to purchase new ones and replace them, you're almost spending more money trying to hold them together. And it certainly in a pinch is not good if something breaks down to not have a vehicle at your disposal. And then the fourth kind of talking point is really what it's going to cost. So the increase in the levy rate, the number that we have picked, and we have sort of 400,000 range and 600,000 range, is essentially $14 more per month as compared to what a person having that $400,000 home will have paid in 2021. And then the last one is just that it's, these voters will decide on the November 2nd ballot, and it's a 50+1. But those, like, if you can't tell anybody anything else, we want them to know that services cannot be maintained. You've got old equipment, you're going to get better equipment. Those are kind of the high levels. The FAQ goes into more detail around all of those. That is going to be on the website and can be a handout. And it will be the base for, if there's a op-ed developed, or Commissioner Land had a conversation with the Linden Tribune, I think it is. And so, we use that to kind of drive those speaking points and answering the questions. So we'll use that kind of as the basis. Is there any question on those 2 materials at this point?
Chris, this is Commissioner Andrews. Are we going to put out another mailer with a colored mailer? That was very well done.
Good. One. Yes. We also pulled together, and we'll make sure you have that sort of a timeline, a work plan that goes week by week. And it includes the mailer schedule, which, because you have to get it printed and postage on it and mailed, comes up quicker than we all expect. So we need to get that to the mail house by the end of next week. So we'll use that FAQ, those same kind of high level facts with some visuals. We're kind of trying to see if we can fiddle with any icons or graphics to make some of it a little more, and maybe it's some of the funding, like how much the levy lid lift pays. I don't know yet how we'll do it, but we'll have that to, to the designer. We need that to get that to the designer early next week, then to the printer by the end of the week. So that's in the timeline that we have. And then that will be time to hit homes when the ballots hit. So you guys will get a chance to review that next week as well.
Well, I'm glad that we're producing information to the public that's a little bit more dire than the last one we did.
Yeah.
Things like that, we have not asked for a raise in our tax levy for 47 years. I think that's a good point to put out.
Yeah.
Also, if we can't provide the newest and the safest equipment for our firefighters, they're going to look for jobs in fire departments that can, and we can't afford to lose any of our firefighters. Those are the two things I was interested in.
Good. So take a look, and I don't know, Jason or Commissioner Land, if it's easiest for you guys to forward those on, or
I sent the document you were referring to, the FAQs, to Commissioner Cooley, Commissioner Andrews, and Chris Parks as well.
Okay, Chris has been on here. The
Everybody
email
should have a copy.
Yeah, and if you want,
they're going to be getting it twice now, because I just forwarded it to to the other two commissioners as well. I figured I could do it now during the public meeting. So, yeah, they're going to be deluged.
Yeah. Did you forward the one that also has the PDC guidance and the timeline? Okay.
I will just I will
Okay.
forward those. Yep.
Okay, great. And the PDC guidance, just there's a link to the rules of the PDC, but it's just some reminders about not advocating and whatnot. So just, to remind you of that.
Mm-hmm.
So please look at any of that and let us know how it strikes you. Or if there's something, Chief has been having some conversations and really hearing some good feedback about what people are concerned about. An example is the message of these dollars go straight to the fire district, used for fire protection services. They don't go to the county. You sort of assume sometimes people know these things, but not everyone does. And that's a pretty important point. So that's included, things like that. But if you're hearing things that you think are important and are not included, please let us know, because it's very easy to update the FAQ. And we have, this week particularly to kind of get the mailer correct.
Good.
Okay, and then also let us know if, our thinking is those kind of 5 fast facts are your internal document to remind you. And then the FAQ can be used as a handout if you need it. With COVID, we're not going to as many type meetings, but if you find you need something else, please let us know. And, Commissioner Land I guess it was just late last week, had, got this call from the Linden paper, and we were able to, pretty quickly pull together some points. So if something like that comes up, or, you have an opportunity to go talk to a certain audience, we can tailor and tweak anything for you. So let us know.
Yeah, and thank you for being so agile and quick to respond. It was very helpful, and it turned into a really long interview, but it was good because I was able to spend the time and hit on all of our points. So he was supposedly, that article was supposed to come out, I don't know, a day or two ago, but when I checked in with him, it's been postponed for another, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks or something. They're going to try to combine it with some sort of special edition that comes out first part of October.
It's October's Fire Prevention Month, and so they always do a big thing on fire departments and firefighters, and so that kind of made sense. I also see that they're they had a feature article this week in Linden Tribune about how to find out what your taxes are and where they go. So I wonder if he's not building kind of a, hey, this is how taxes work in Whatcom County, and going to go down some rabbit trails, and we'll be one of them. So.
Hopefully that's not a bad story for you.
No, I think it's a good story.
Yeah.
Actually, it's really, the information he gave out in the article is super interesting, and should, if people use it, would actually benefit us, I think.
Yeah.
In the long run.
Good.
So,
Oh yeah, and the readership up there is going to be primarily District 21, voters and readership, which is great because a lot of what I shared with them corresponds to our relationship with 21. We're still just at somewhat of a disadvantage here, or this small little geographical area, how to really target our folks.
although I think, Commissioner Land, looking at the way things came out precinct wise, right around the station in the neighborhoods there, you have good support. And I think that my hope is that the Linden Tribune article will kind of filter down, as well as some of the information I'm collecting from East Side voters, from some prominent East Side voters and business owners here in District 21, that information and those tactics will filter down to help us reach out to the people more like where Commissioner Andrews lives, kind of that East Smith Road, the rural areas of District 4, kind of north of Mount Baker Highway. So I do think that there will be some spillover advantage that we'll get from this. So
great.
Which leads us to, I think, the next part of what we want to talk about is just the education and getting out and having those community conversations and having you guys have your one-on-one discussions, which really does make a difference. And even things like this October Fire Prevention Month is really good to know, because maybe we can do some social media around it. Clearly just raising the visibility of all the good stuff that Northwest Fire and Rescue does is helpful. And so, I don't know, Chief, if you guys have special activities that you do during October that we could.
Well, we would, but we can't. So
COVID.
Yeah, we're kind of limited to social media, right? I mean,
yeah.
So.
But we'll do some social. We can do some posts around it. Okay. So I know when we talked last time, we had sort of said, maybe there's a way to say, okay, you guys make some targets and goals of a list of 15 to 20 community leaders or folks that you think would be good to talk to. How's that coming along? Bless you.
Excuse me.
Well, I want to thank Chris Parks for putting together, I don't know if you all seen that document that she put together as far as the list of community groups. Well, Chris, why don't, since you're here, why don't you talk about what you provided us? But I thank you for providing that, because I think that's the kind of information we were looking for with regards to who's out there and who we can reach out to. You want to talk about that, Chris?
Yes, thank you, Steve. I don't have the list in front of me at home right now, but I did some research on community neighborhood groups, Facebook neighborhood groups, and I'm a member of one of the neighborhood groups. That's the Tweed 20 area. And I also reached out to the Silver Beach neighborhood group. And there was another one, I believe, up in Mark's area. That I reached out to, and the Agate Bay Resort I also reached out to. And those are the groups I will be posting also our FAQs and any other information that we have regarding the levy lit lift.
I can
Wonderful.
I can certainly share the document if you all want to see it. It's just a kind of a summary of what she said.
That'd be great.
Would love to see it. Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
And
thanks,
so,
Chris.
Chris, so you said you have reached out to those entities already and offered like the FAQ or asked if they have a newsletter, like we could draft a little newsletter article for them if they need.
No, I didn't reach out to them regarding the FAQs because I wanted to make sure that they've, approved by the board first and, everything is okay with them. But
Good.
I shared some other information with them regarding a first aid or CPR course that we are holding in September. So just to connect with them and,
Yeah.
make them aware of the fire department. So maybe next time they see a post from us, they will also look at it and rate it. And, ask questions if they have any.
That's great.
But yeah.
Does it make sense to, I'm going to just be the more aggressive person. Does it make sense to have one of the commissioners or somebody follow up and send them the FAQ and say, we'd be happy, like, do you have a virtual meeting? We could have the chief come present to you, or, like I said, do you have a newsletter, or, that is levy lid lift info directly, so they have it.
Yeah, I was going to ask Commissioner Land about that, if we wanted to take a look at the whatever Chris provided and maybe divide those up. I think that would be a good idea if we followed those efforts up with a contact from a commissioner. I think that would be good.
Mhm.
But if I can digress just for a second, Chris, you also put one other thing on there about the possibility of putting a large reader board near the fire station.
Oh,
Are we able to do that, or is that what? I don't want to put words in Chris's mouth, but is that kind of fall in the lines of we can't advocate, we can only provide information?
I was thinking we could use that reader board, Jason knows which one I'm talking about,
Yep.
the large one that we put out sometimes. I think we could just post, maybe saying regarding the levy lid lift, please contact or visit the following website, just something like that. So some people might, maybe call in or look on the website just to get their interest, because there's a lot of traffic on Britain Road.
Yes, there is. I think that's a
Absolutely.
great
It's a
idea.
great idea.
Mhm.
Sorry,
that
I'm on
is-
mute because my dog is freaking out and being very loud. Oh, good Lord. You can absolutely put information about, you could probably even say vote levy lid lift, just not vote for levy lid lift.
Right. That's
Yeah.
so I ran that through Richard Davis on the D21 side. Yes, we can put the word vote and then underneath it, Proposition 2021-12. So
Great.
Yeah.
And then maybe with the website link or whatever.
yes,
Yeah.
and then put
Yes.
yep.
Perfect. So
Yeah, that's great.
Commissioner Land, what do you think about the possibility of dividing those groups up, or what are your thoughts there? The
I think
neighborhood
it's a
groups.
great idea. I mean, yeah, the more people we can get involved in some of this personal touch outreach stuff would be awesome. If you've got the time and energy to commit to some of that, I would encourage you both to to take on whatever you feel you can do.
Okay.
Is 106 going to do our signs again for this?
I think I'll get a union representative to talk to Commissioner Land, and all things are looking very good. I know they are. Things are looking good. They have set up an actual what do you
Campaign.
call it, Heather? Yep,
A
campaign.
campaign.
So they have a yes campaign for
With the PDC.
with the PDC for the D21 D4 vote. Somebody today told me the name of it. They'll have a bank account attached to it by Tuesday, so that donations can be made. And that's truly all I know about it. I will get Scott Brown to call Commissioner Land, and if he wants to just disseminate information through Chris Parks or myself about the yes campaign, we'll figure out if that's legal or not first. But I can tell you that I know, just in talking in labor management talks, that they are working on something much more robust than they had last time.
Great.
Good.
Is it legal for a commissioner to put up signs like that?
Yeah,
got-
you're a
Some
person.
great places. So, Chief, if you can see that I get 3 or 4 of them, I got some great places to put them.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
great.
and I'm
Yeah.
on Britain. I'm right on Britain Road as well. So I would like a sign as well. whoever.
I will let Scott Brown know to contact you and make sure that he has your contact info.
Great. Thank
Right. You guys are entitled to advocate on your personal time. And
Mhm.
thank you. That's great. I would just ask, don't wear any insignia from D4. Wear a shirt for, Bellingham Hardware or something.
you. Easy. I don't
Like
have any.
unaffiliated.
That's great. That's good. So nice work, Chris Parks, on pulling together some of those. That's outstanding.
Thank you.
You bet. And then I would encourage you kind of even beyond those groups. You guys know who the movers and shakers are. You guys know who people go ask opinions about. And again, you don't advocate with them, but you educate them, give them the FAQ. I know the chief has had some really good conversations that are illuminating in that we hear things that we assume people know and they don't. And, you also just are making sure that then when somebody asks them, they know like how dire the situation is. They know really that a big part of this is old equipment and vehicles. They know that training of those shift supervisors is not taking people to, taking them out of the rank. Like they're still in the field. They're still working alongside. They're just bringing more value to the district. And we, as good a job as we do on putting that down on paper, until you have that conversation and that back and forth, it's hard to know those nuances, which are critical, right? They're critical for your service. So think about that. I challenge you to think about, 5 to 10 people that are community resources that will be talking to people that you want to make sure they have the facts in their hands, in their minds.
That's a good idea. Thank you.
Yeah. So, and it makes the difference. You guys were not that many votes down. You're not that big of a district. So educating 20 people that then talk to 20 people could be 40 votes.
Yeah.
And closes the gap rapidly.
It closes the gap a lot. And then if your union is doing that pro campaign and, you quickly get on the other side of that. And it's just a tough time. You have interesting district with different and diverse opinions. And so education is the biggest thing here, making sure that they understand. Because everyone's busy. They're not going to, they don't know what's going on with the fire department. They just want you to show up.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's any way that we can help you with that. We are happy to do whatever we can. If you identify I can bug you. I'm a nagger. I can totally do that. But I don't know who they are. And I know the chief is even willing to go. I'm just going to put you out there, Jason. Like
No,
you're
that's
willing
fine.
to make those have those conversations. He's very good at them too.
That's all I was going to do was talk to people and just say, please call the chief.
Totally.
Yeah, that's fine. Once again, I will say it on the record here. I cannot advocate, but I can educate.
Yes.
But all I need to do is have 40,000 individual conversations between now and November 3rd. We got this there.
Piece of cake.
So however we can get that out there, because really people, it is very interesting. People's understanding of where their money goes once it disappears into the abyss of taxes on a statement, is people, very educated people who are business people don't realize how it works. And, for better or worse, Washington's built a very complicated tax structure or taxing structure.
Yeah.
And we are not good at self-advocating, much like law enforcement. I know I have two former deputies here. You just do your job and you do it really well, and you let the details get taken care of by somebody else. And unfortunately, our funding mechanisms are different. Whereas law enforcement gets a piece of the pie every year, we have to make our own pie. On the fire side, we don't get money from the county. And so we have to educate our citizens, and we've done a poor job of that. and we're taking our lumps, and we will, yeah, we got to do better. And
Yeah.
we're trying, and it might take a few times to get, it'll take at least twice to get them to understand our needs and what this costs. So yeah, we got to have those sometimes hard conversations. And but it's I have not met with anyone that's turned angry or turned me down. As far as listening, I don't know what they're going to do in the privacy of their vote, but they have been very respectful listeners, and that's all I can ask for.
And I think ask good questions, and then actually been happy to have actual information about it that they were not necessarily aware of.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
Good.
and
Okay.
have shared critical pieces for us, like Mr. Templeman or Templesman, was it? Thompson, Mr. Thompson.
Mr. Thompson, yeah.
Sharing how important it was that people know that these funds don't go to Whatcom County. Okay, we can add that right in. That's very helpful.
Yeah.
You know, these funds stay in your community, and
Yes.
and they are, you know, they're your funds. They can't be used for anything but fire protection.
Yeah. I think also another reason for it is as you get closer to the election and a lot of people start paying attention, they start putting stuff on Nextdoor, they start putting stuff on other social media platforms that just is flat out wrong. And if you've educated other folks that can pipe in and say, you know what, I talked to the fire chief and that's not accurate. Usually people are like, oh, but if you don't, it keeps going the other way. And then somebody that's put out misinformation has now informed 80 people of something that's not accurate. So it's pretty important. It's pretty important. And because of the challenges of your district and COVID, it's not as easy as it is for other fire districts to get, you know, there's not a bunch of existing organizations that are meeting once a month that you can go and even virtually present to. It's harder. It's retail education. It's on the ground, boots on the ground. But it'll be over in 2 months. And if you do a good job, you won't have to do it again.
For a while.
For a while.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I cut somebody off.
Oh no, I was just gonna ask if we are we gonna have hopefully this same group at our regular meeting on the 13th. You guys have that penciled in already?
We'll bring at least one representative, and we probably email each other 8 times a day. So
yeah,
on a light day.
Yeah.
What time is that meeting?
Just,
it'll be 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Well,
Or noon. Sorry, noon.
Good.
Yeah, I've got noon too. Yeah, no, I was just thinking of the other 2 commissioners just to make sure if if something comes up in the meantime and we're all maybe touching things or involved in things that the other 2 commissioners, me included, might not be aware of. It's just a good opportunity to bring the board back in so that everybody knows the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Heather, I think we've gone through most of the items that we had sort of played out, and we've got the next meeting. So that's good. So I think what we ask is review any of those materials if there are any changes. Again, attorneys have looked at them, chiefs reviewed them for accuracy, but let us know. I think Chris Parks will then put up the new FAQ on the website, and that obviously can be added to. It can be a living document, but also please let us know when you're talking to people, if you hear different things or you need something else. We are more than happy to develop a letter to the editor. At some point, I do think there'll be another opportunity for an op-ed closer to the election. So, just let us know.
I would just add that if you guys get stuck, you're face to face with a voter and you don't have the FAQs with you and you can't remember the long list of stuff we gave you, the key element for this is it's about time. The time is now. we cannot continue to fund operations at this time the way we are. And it's about the time we need to respond to your accident. So the time is now for the money, so we can keep our response times to you right where they are. So if you can just keep those 2 time things in your head, that should help spur you to all the materials that are there, but it also gets you talking. You can unfreeze and move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Excellent.
And then give him Jason's number.
Yes. And memorize the chief's phone number. Write that one on your hand.
But you know, we were happy, I guess is not a good word, but you know, it was nice when the attorneys were like, you're fine with this darker tone. You're not doing it. It's not advocating. It is fact. It is based in fact that this cannot continue. You can't continue to have increased calls. You can't continue to have tougher calls. You can't continue to keep moving on old equipment and do the same good work you do. It's just not feasible. And you're getting at the end of your rope.
And that's a really good point, I think, because a lot of people are, you know, I imagine there is a segment of the population, let's put it that way, that's reluctant to approve any new taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think that approach is appropriate, where we simply provide the factual information that, you know, you have a choice. You can either pay for it or you can't. And if you don't, we're not going to have the service that you had before. So,
right.
Well, right. They end up paying with time.
Right.
And that's our concern. They pay with time.
Right. And I think that I hope that people who might be reluctant otherwise to vote for something like this would take that into consideration.
I hope so too.
I hope so too, Commissioner Cooley.
Yeah. Thank you.
Other point I think we ought to look at is if this does not pass again, and we have to go down with our equipment, go down with our firefighters and so forth, we have to point out the fact that their fire insurance rates are going to change and they will increase. So that's something to think about.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And it will take an incredible amount of time to rebuild.
Yeah.
Once they if the public chooses that stripping it to bare bones is a mistake, it takes
training
18 months to rebuild, you know, what we can let fall apart very quickly. So more time.
Yeah. I mean, that always ends up costing more. True.
Yeah.
Commissioner Land. Commissioner Land, if I could, I know that one of our guests has a time commitment, kind of a time crunch at 6:15. Is there anything else you'd like us to cover?
No, thanks for bringing that up. I just did have one quick question. It's a little bit changing gears, but it's kind of related. If we were talking about, you know, tightening our belts, do we know where 21 is on their drawing up on a proposed new contract for services?
We do. I expect to have all the money part done by next week. I was pretty close to being done this week, and then discovered a flaw in the what do you call it, the calculations. So yep, Commissioner Allison and I met this week, and we'll meet again next week and probably be ready for you and I and Commissioner Ansel to meet the week after.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. Nope, I don't have anything else. This was really helpful. I'm glad the other two commissioners were insistent a couple of weeks ago to have this so that we could stay everybody on the same page. So no, I don't have anything. But if anybody else does, please speak up.
I know it's not on the agenda, but since it's we're under the state of emergency, I just wanted to inform the District 4 board members that our employees, the District 21/District 4 response employees, our vaccination rate's at about 98-99%, and I believe we'll be at 100% by the time the mandate comes into play. I can't say that for any other district around us, so stand by. We may be getting called on, and I will do our best to The union has already approached me about upstaffing, the need for upstaffing another unit to deal with shortfalls in with auto aid. And Commissioner Ansel and I have already talked about basically an emergency ILA with other districts if we are spending a lot of money and time working with other communities, other districts, that we can do it for free for a while, but we're gonna have to be reimbursed. So
Yeah.
So now that's being taken care of, but a shout out to our employees. They've stepped up in a huge way, and we are in much better position than any other fire departments in our community.
Great.
Good
Thank
for you.
Yeah, that's impressive. I actually had that as just a side note because I know it's not a great time. There's, other fire districts going to the ballot in November too. And you just don't want anything that people are going to get crabby with firefighters right now. So that's great.
Okay, anything else?
Have a great weekend,
All right.
everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great Labor Day.
Have a
Thank
nice,
you too.
nice long weekend, everyone. Thanks everybody for all the work that went into this, all the documents and research, and it's much appreciaappreciated.
Well, thank
It's
you.
Thank you.
our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.